Hey guys, Lauren Isaacs here. As you can see, I'm holding in my hands arguably the most anti-Semitic piece of literature ever written in the history of the world. This is Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. It is Hitler's thoughts and desires and hatred of the Jews all put down into one about 500-page book. And he wrote it in 1923. And why am I holding it today? I'm holding it for educational purposes. I need you to hear some of the things that are in this book, and I need you guys to understand a few things. First of all, this is not a piece of ancient history. This is not even a piece of history. This is current events. Why? Because the anti-Semitism in here is 100% relevant today. It is 100% the same anti-Semitism that is going on in 2020. This is serious. Now, Hitler wrote things that are very anti-Semitic, very insidious. There's a lot of pervasive rhetoric in here, a lot of compelling things that you read. Very dangerous because he lays it out succinctly and it makes a lot of sense the way he says it. Which is why, if anyone's very impressionable, turn away now. This you need to read for educational purposes, not to believe what Hitler is actually saying. Now, an important thing to note is that Hitler wrote Mein Kampf in 1923. 1923, that was well before the Second World War started. World War II only started in 1939. But Hitler wrote this in 1923 when he was in prison. And in 1935, the Nuremberg laws were enacted. And so that's 12 years later. If you don't know, the Nuremberg laws were the anti-Semitic laws that discriminated against Jews. Jews may not participate in public sports. Jews may not go to schools with non-Jews. Jews may not marry non-Jews. Jews may not walk here. Those were the Nuremberg laws, 1935. That was 12 years after Hitler wrote this. Things started to come to fruition and manifest in actual laws. Why am I mentioning this? Because anti-Semitism doesn't happen overnight. A Holocaust doesn't happen overnight. And it's important to know that. When people say, nothing's wrong, there's no anti-Semitism, everyone's fine. 1939 didn't just come about overnight. 1939 Germany took time. Hitler wrote down his thoughts, and they festered and they fermented, and eventually they were implemented. So things take time. Keep your eyes open, guys. Just because there are no Nuremberg laws, thank God, today, doesn't mean that we're not in danger of things like this happening in a future time. So we have to be well aware of that. Now, also, I want to make a note about this specific copy. If you want to get Mein Kampf for educational purposes, it's not the easiest book to get. I actually had a hard time finding this copy online. But this one's translated by someone named James Murphy. This is the most authentic copy you can get in English. Why? Because James Murphy himself was actually contracted by the Nazi Party to translate Mein Kampf into English for the Nazi Party. So this basically has Hitler's stamp of approval on it that these are his words. It is a correct translation. The last point that I want to make before I read you some of these things is that the Holocaust was about the Jews. Make no mistake. That's it. Point blank, period. The Holocaust was about the Jews. I cannot stand when people say the Jews were incidental, or the Jews were only one component of an equal component of other people, or it was World War II. Yes, the Jews suffered, but everyone else suffered the same. No. The Holocaust came about. Hitler desired to wipe all the Jews off the face of the earth, as we will see from his own words. And that was the purpose of the Holocaust. That is not to say that no one else suffered in the Holocaust. Gays, gypsies, blacks, disabled people, so many groups of people. Millions of non-Jews were killed in the Holocaust, 100%. And I'm not denying that. I'm not taking away from that suffering. That's absolute. But the intention was to answer the question of the Jewish problem. According to Hitler's own words, the final solution was the final solution to the Jewish problem. Meaning, what is the final solution? To wipe all the Jews off the face of the earth. Yes, other people died 100%. The Holocaust was about the Jews. Now, Hitler, granted, he hated Marxists and he hated capitalists and he hated Bolsheviks and he hated Christians. But one thing that they all had in common, he blamed them all on the Jews. He said the Jews invented all of those things. This was about the Jews. So let's dive in. And I'm going to read you some things. If you're impressionable, turn away. But this is important to learn from. It's important to hear and understand really what Hitler was saying. By the means of the Marxist and democratic press, the Jews spread the colossal falsehood about the German militarism. This is where he's talking about the Reich and where he's talking about why the Germans actually lost World War I initially. He blames it on the Jews, of course. Let's skip ahead. only the Jew knew by that an able and persistent use of propaganda, heaven itself can be presented to the people as if it were hell, and vice versa. The most miserable kind of life can be presented as if it were paradise. The Jew knew this and acted accordingly. This is all very, very interesting. Here, the Jew offers the most striking contrast to the Aryan. There is probably no other people in the world who have so developed the instinct of self-preservation as the so-called chosen people. Where can we find people in the course of the last 2,000 years who have undergone so few changes in mental outlook and character as the Jewish people? The intellectual faculties of the Jew have been trained through thousands of years. Today, the Jew is looked upon as specially cunning. There's a lot in here. There's a lot, and it's intense. You know, the Jew merely follows his individual desires of egotism. The Jewish state has absolutely no territorial boundaries. That is, the Jewish people, despite the intellectual powers with which they are apparently endowed, have not a cultural, certainly not a culture of their own. The culture which the Jew enjoys today is the product of the work of others, and this product is debased in the hands of the Jew. The Jew has done no original creative work. The Jew is a kind of monkey imitator. The Jew is a low-class mimic. I mean, this is just really, really intense. All right, here we go. This is very interesting because you're about to hear something that the enemies of this flag say all the time. Here we go. The Jew is not a nomad, for the nomad has already a definite attitude towards the concept of work, and this attitude served as the basis of later cultural development. All right, skipping ahead. The Jew has no trace of idealism. The Jew has never been a nomad, but always a parasite. The Jewish self-expansion is a parasitic phenomenon, since the Jew is always looking for new pastures for his race. But this has nothing to do with nomadic life as such, because the Jew does not ever think of leaving a territory which he has once occupied. He sticks where he is with such tenacity that he can hardly be driven out even by superior physical force. Ooh, Hitler is talking about the occupation. Does this sound familiar? And you wonder why this book is a bestseller in the Palestinian territories, actually, and in Gaza, still today, in 2020. It is still extremely prized in those areas. Why? Because look at the rhetoric. It is the exact same things that our enemies, the enemies of Israel, the enemies of the Jewish people are saying, just in a different color, just wearing a different dress. Hitler's anti-Semitism was 100% racial anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism has, developed over the years, but this anti-Semitism is still alive and well, and the enemies of Israel are using it to delegitimize our existence and the existence of our country. It's very, very dangerous. If you're going to get this book or this book, I would recommend getting a reputable source, good translations. Obviously, they're not originally written in English. And learn from them. Really learn and keep your eyes open, and you'll see how the rhetoric in these books is paralleled today in 2020. This anti-Semitism is alive and well, and it is a threat to us. Therefore, we need to keep our eyes open, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to protect the next generation coming forward. Never again means never again. We will never be disarmed again. We will never be walked into ghettos and gas chambers again. Never again. It is so important that we believe that and that we live that. Another note is that between my Mind Kampf and my Protocols book and all the Qurans I bought online, I'm pretty sure I'm on some sort of terrorist watch list by now. So thank you for joining me, guys. I hope this was educational. Sorry if it was a little intense. Am Yisrael Chai, know the history, know what's going on. Be a proud Jew, be a proud Zionist. All the best. See you soon.